Hi. Добрый вечер. Меня зовут Jay. Good evening. My name is Jay.
And you're showing off with your Russian skills. Good evening. I'm Till.
Yes, and that's a tip for you for who we are gonna have for today on our final episode of Crosstalk for this season, right? And so, why are we doing this?
Well, we are Intercultural Education, or ICE, and Crosstalk is our series where we want to engage people online to learn more about the world. Because right now, as all of you know, we have coronavirus epidemic, COVID-19, and Crosstalk is one of the ways we're trying to bridge this by still learn more about the world and by learning about other countries and how they're dealing with coronavirus, how their governments, their media, and everyone else is dealing about it. So that's what we're doing.
Yes, and we want to give you a chance also to ask any questions to our guest in case you have you've seen some news reports, you have heard some maybe WhatsApp rumors. Is there anything that you want to clarify? Now is the time to do so. So if you're on YouTube Live, please you can ask any questions down in the comment box below.
Or maybe you have heard a lot of news about, I think we can just say it, about Russia, right?
Yes,
Russia.
Yes.
It's a big country. It's in the news a lot, no matter whether you look at all the American media publications or even Chinese publications. It's a big and important country, but it's very hard to know who and what to trust. We're very, very happy that today we're talking to a good friend of ours who you can definitely trust. An educator and a person who is very passionate and also sharing about the world situation. So, shall we introduce her?
Yes, without further ado, let's introduce Kristina. Hey, hi, Kristina.
Hi, guys. Hi. So, like I said, my name is Kristina. I come from Russia, which is where I'm currently living. I work as a tutor now. I used to work as a teacher, and I've taken part in a lot of international projects, one of which was working in Hong Kong in CTU, and I also got to collaborate with you guys, which is how I know you.
All right, that is Kristina from Russia. So as you know, she has been to Hong Kong before, so she can also have an interesting perspective of Hong Kong and Russia, or what's a typical Hong Konger things of Russia. But no matter where you're from, I'm sure you have heard of Russia, you have ideas about Russia. So let's have an exciting final episode of the season. I also want to say that all of our Crosstalk episodes, they were so far between 45 minutes and 1 hour or so. So this one, even though we're trying to keep it short, but Kristina has so many interesting things and stories, and she can also go in depth a bit more. So this may take a little bit longer. We'll try to keep it short, but if you have more questions, type it in the comments. Maybe we'll just keep it going for a little bit longer, because this is the last episode of the season, and we want to learn as much as possible from Kristina.
And we also been listening to you. We are also always improving ourselves. So today, as you can see, we look brighter. And that's because we also have a new setup with a light.
Yeah.
Okay, so so enough of that. Let's go into the proper chat, right? So Kristina, so you are from Kaliningrad specifically, right?
Yeah, that's right. So I just want to, for those who are listening or who are watching this and know nothing about Russia or nearly nothing, there's a high chance you have never heard about Kaliningrad. It's like a special small part of Russia that not many people know about. Maybe I can share where it is. Maybe I can show.
Okay,
yes,
you can share it on a map.
Yes. I think it will be good for our audience to learn how big Russia is. You know.
Yeah, and how small Kaliningrad looks in comparison.
Yeah, it is. So, okay, so this is the map.
Okay, are you sharing the screen?
Yeah, let me try again, I guess.
Aha, we already have
Kaliningrad.
Yes, we have a Russian enthusiast on our YouTube Live now.
Okay, so here we go. Let's have a look at the map.
So this is the map. It's a world map. If we separate into countries, it looks like this. And then we can just see, so here's Hong Kong. Hi guys. And here's Russia, the whole of it. Huge, huge thing. And if we just zoom in closer, the whole of Russia, the place where I live, my region, Kaliningrad, is not anywhere here. It's all the way down here. It's between Poland and Lithuania, this little part of Russia, Kaliningrad. You might be asking, what the hell, why is Russia there? Well, it's not technically fully Russian. It used to be Germany for a long time, but then after World War II, it became Russia. So it's been there for about 75 years or so. And it's quite pretty. We still have a lot of old German and Prussian architecture, but we also have some like basic Russian Soviet-style buildings. It's very pretty. But I myself, I live in an even smaller town. Like Kaliningrad is small. It's like 500,000 people live in the city itself, and just 1 million people.
Wait. You say small, but compared to Hong Kong, I think the area of Kaliningrad is still bigger than Hong Kong, isn't it?
Oh yeah, the area is
way bigger.
It's a tiny part of Russia in terms of area, but it's Russia, so it's still a huge area.
Yeah, you're right. We have this characteristic. If it's Russian, it must be huge, right?
Yeah.
But it's not densely populated.
Yeah.
And I live in a resort town by the sea. It's on the sea coast, and it only has like 15 to 20,000 people living in it. It's a very nice little place. Yeah. So that's what I wanted to share. So I live in this part.
Cool. Thank you. So now maybe the audience has a little bit of a picture of what Russia can look like. Not everything is the Red Square in Moscow, right? And where Kristina comes from.
Yes, not everything is the Moscow, St. Petersburg. There is also the beautiful place of Kaliningrad. All right, so let's go into let's go into the topics proper. So you're living in Kaliningrad, and so how, Russia is a really big country, but we don't really know too much from, at least from what I see in Hong Kong. There isn't really a news report talking about Russia, the whole situation right now.
Actually, if you have to scratch your memory and think of anything you heard in Hong Kong media about Russia, what was that and when was that?
The most I heard was just about the border closing with China, because that relates to China. Yeah. But other than that, we don't really get a lot of information through the English media as well. So maybe can you tell our audience about how the whole situation started and what's happening?
Like when they reacted, when was it conscious, like in a public consciousness, right? We all know that in the United States it took a while until people started talking about it. And what about Russia? When did it start and how did people react?
Well, it also took a while here. I'm not sure we're fully there, where people are actually aware and understand what's happening. But it all started back in the end of January, where somewhere in the background, like it wasn't talked about much, but Russia started closing off borders with China pretty early on. So end of January, they stopped the railway communication. Then in February, they started canceling flights one by one, until finally, I think it was February 20th, when they denied entry to all people coming from China into the country. And then slowly, it kind of started all from there, because when we started hearing about first cases in Russia, first were people from China traveling to Russia. So back then, people weren't really worried about it so much, because like, oh, as long as it's not spreading and like our communities is okay. And then all of a sudden, it's like, oh, it is spreading, because we get cases all over the country. But at that point, it feels like the government was still trying to keep it down. They're like, it's under control. We got it. Like, no worries. It's going to be fine. And we had some reports, like a spike of pneumonia cases and respiratory diseases all over the country. And I don't know if it's really pneumonia and stuff like that, or was it the COVID already? But the government was very eager to persuade everyone that it's not COVID for sure. The symptoms may be similar, but it's not that. Like, don't worry, we got you. and then
did people start to be a bit suspicious already at that point?
Some of them, yeah. Like I was very suspicious early on, because I was still keeping in touch with my friends from Hong Kong, and some of them are in China, and I knew like this is coming. Like, there is no way to avoid it. But Russia was like, no, we can do it. It's fine. And so in March, we started getting our cases in the country itself. First, just one by one, very slowly, easy to trace and to track. But people were not getting it. I feel like there was really a lack of communication between the government and the population, because we just knew about this disease, we knew about the virus, but not much of how it works. Like, are we supposed to wear masks or not? Do we need to get some medicine or not? Nevertheless, the masks were bought out pretty early on in March, and the thermometers and like things to make masks from, that was just all gone, and toilet paper, like in many countries as well.
Toilet paper, also in Russia.
Panic buying. Why not? I mean, you can do it. But then I have this insider source, so to speak, because my mom, she works in an organization that is responsible for handling the pandemic like this. Like it's an epidemiology center. So one of her duties was to go and meet the visitors, the travelers coming from abroad, and tell them that you guys have to stay at home. You got to stay at home for 2 weeks. The doctor will be seeing you. You got to get a test done. And some of them were like, why? I'm not sick. Like, what's the problem? And then there were cases where people were straight on aggressive about it. Like, go away. I'm not going to open the door. Like, the hell no. Like, this is all, we don't care about it. And then, so see, it's been like this dual attitude towards it. On the one hand, the government was trying to do something in the background, like some restrictions and traveling and all, and like tracing and checking temperature at the border. But on the other hand, there was not much information given to the public, like that is really happening in the country already. And there are several potential reasons why that might have been happening, but this is how it was. And then finally, all of a sudden, it's end of March, like March 28th, I think, and we hear our president talking to us, like, wow, is he a blogger now or something? But he was addressing the audience. It's really nice. And he was saying that, the country is having the situation with the virus and we need you to stay at home for 1 week. But don't worry, you will keep your pay, you'll keep your salary, so you can stay at home for just non-working week.
It's almost like a holiday, just slot in a national holiday for 1 week.
Till that's exactly what they thought. Oh. What the Russians heard, like, oh, it's a holiday week. And unfortunately the weather was just wonderful. It was warm, it was sunny. And because
perfect holiday.
They didn't really have this information that why you're doing this, why you're supposed to stay at home, that it's not just like the government trying to mess with you. They thought, well, why am I supposed to stay in the house when I can go outside and enjoy
the weather is so nice. Maybe we can go to a sauna.
Yes, that's what they did.
Oh my God.
Really, it backfired. It backfired magnificently because after that we saw like the attitude of government changed, and the local governors were responsible for keeping this under control, and they kept saying, like our government, Kaliningrad governor, he kept saying that you have to stay at home, it's important, you're responsible. And they kind of used this failure with the first week of non-working holiday, not working days, to keep the non-working period longer. So they prolonged it until end of April. So April 30th will be, well, it's supposed to be the last day. I don't know if it will be the last day of non-working days.
Oh, so it got extended. So it's almost a month, right?
It is. It's exactly a month, and they kept extending it for a week after week, and then it's like, no.
So I guess now people got the idea. That's not a holiday anymore. It's actually a lockdown now.
You would think so.
No.
But then they had to impose fines. Again, I have to say it again and again, but there's lack of information, of proper information on what to do and how to avoid this. And maybe people just don't trust the government for, again, many reasons. But they had to impose fines on those who are walking around. Like if you're not close to your house, if you're not just walking a dog or getting groceries, you're going to get fined.
It's like joining a lot of other countries.
Yeah. So there's a lot of like European countries.
Yeah. Although I just heard from Jay today that Singapore, they also fined like a lady or something.
Oh yeah, for eating outside. And because we are in also the lockdown, put it that way. And then a lady who decided to eat outside in the restaurant, and he got fined 300 Singapore dollars for eating that. Yeah,
it's a lot of money.
Yeah. But so I'm very curious because you mentioned that you live in a resort town, and the first week of the non-working week, people are going on holidays. So are people actually rushing into your town during that week?
Yeah, you're right, Jay. That's exactly what happened in the first week. And I happened to visit my mom's office, and like I talked with her bosses. And I asked them, so how's the situation? What's happening? And he's like, these damn people, like these visitors from Moscow, from St. Petersburg. Like we cannot physically track everyone. We don't have the capacity to deal with all these cases. Yeah. But it seems like they got it pretty well under control. But yeah, there were like tours coming here.
Oh, like tour groups.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
So it's very important to say like lack of information, right? So people don't know that this is very serious. They don't know about the virus. They say, oh, it's a holiday. Let's go out. Free pay, good weather.
It's a bit more complicated than that, though, if I may say. It's also about the government, the people not trusting the government. There was a survey, a nationwide survey recently, maybe like a week or two ago, and they found out that only 8% of people trusted the government's information on the coronavirus completely.
Wow.
And then about the third of population were kind of believing some of what they said. And then about 60% of people did not trust the government. And there were two camps in there as well. half of them thought that the government is keeping the numbers down, not reporting the correct number of cases, not to induce panic or something like this. And the other half thought that this was just, it's all not true. The government is trying to control us. It's just like some conspiracy thing.
Like a hoax.
Oh,
Like
wow.
a hoax, exactly.
Wow. So we have seen a lot of that news in the US, but it's also happening in Russia. This whole misinformation, hoax, and everything like that. Oh,
Maybe in YouTube, some people commented already. Maybe you've seen one of your old friends, Gary. Greetings from your beloved Isaac VP.
Hi.
say hi to him. Yeah.
Yeah, Gary says hi.
Alice Kokaya says, hey.
That's my best friend. Hi, Alice.
Oh, wow. Okay. So maybe right now, building on that, can you tell us how's the situation right now at this point of time? Is everything under control and everyone's is it more normal?
You said you still have some lockdown to go, but it's like curve flattening. People expect things to go on track.
People are staying home a bit better than they used to, or it seems like that, because finally the message is gotten across. So we get that we have to stay at home. Again, in different regions, the situation is different. I can only speak for my region,
Yes.
and I can sort of know what's going on in Moscow and St. Petersburg. But outside of that, it's wild area for me. I only get the news, but not like actual reports from people living there. But what's happening now is the schools have been closed since the beginning of April. And the restaurants have also been closed for about 3 weeks, unless it's a delivery, like in Hong Kong, I guess. What else? We still have like the government offices. Some of them are working, some of them are doing distance work, remote working. So yeah, but there is no flattening the curve yet. In fact, yesterday I looked up the statistics, and the number of new cases daily in Russia has doubled within 6 days. And today we have 58,000 cases of people like getting sick.
That is quite a lot.
It is. It's
In one
only
day.
in terms of daily new cases per country, we are only second to the United States.
Oh my god, that is huge. I didn't know it was that big. Oh.
It is. And
China
it's so
got like
weird.
a total of 80k or something, right?
Yeah, I think so, but we are 58.
Sorry, yeah. What do you want to say?
Yeah, 58,000 people here, right? No, like it doesn't sound like a lot because it's a
And
huge
it's still going up. So.
But it's going up, yeah. It's doubling really quickly. But the weird part is just it feels the whole town looks alien to me. I live in a place where we have a lot of cats. Like it's a cat town. That's its thing. It's a cat town by the sea, so there's beach, and now it's just cats roaming the streets. No people.
So like animals are walking around and no humans around.
Yeah. Maybe I can show the pictures of how it looks like the tourist.
Oh
place.
yes. I think it's
That would
good
be
for
interesting, yeah.
for our audience to see how Kaliningrad is right now.
Well, I want to show St. Petersburg actually because there will be a better comparison.
Oh
So,
yeah, okay. Yeah.
Okay, let's have a look
yeah.
on the screen.
So St. Petersburg used to be like very busy because it's one of the main tourist attractions in Russia, and like, this is the square is always full of people, but now it's kind of deserted. So no one there because no one is allowed to go there. And another thing that they've started doing is every day, I think 3 or 4 times a day, you hear this police cars riding around the city and announcing that, reminding people that you have to stay at home. Don't you dare leave your house. Be responsible. We'll get through it. It's like, or else, or you will be fine. I care about you, but also, so maybe I can play just a part of it.
Okay, let's listen.
So they can feel what it's like. Yeah.
Соблюдайте социальную дистанцию. Берегите свое здоровье и здоровье
Wow,
окружающих.
that's scary.
Изоляция поможет остановить распространение вируса.
Yeah.
Wow.
So they've been saying.
Sorry, that makes it a little cliche, but it reminds me of one of those
What?
like computer games where you play in some Soviet era military complex.
Yeah, there's a blaring warning.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Some nuclear missile is being launched or something.
So
Yeah.
so every few hours the police car will be going around saying this.
Yeah. Yeah, I think 3-4 times a day I hear it outside of my window. At first, I was really scared because I didn't know what was happening. Why is the loudspeaker being used? Is there an emergency or something? But now it's like it's something I set my watch to. Like I know, okay, so it's the second round, so it's at midday or something.
Oh.
So it's part of the routine now.
And this is happening throughout Russia, at least in the big cities, right?
Yeah, the video I showed you was actually not from my city. It was from Chelyabinsk, which is a city far from here, and it's happening all over Russia.
Okay.
It's a reminder of people how serious this is, and that the patrol cars are still watching. And like one thing, we're supposed to carry passports now, so you have to have a passport that shows you're living close to the place where you are walking around now, and you cannot go outside without your passport. And in 2 regions, in Moscow and in Kaliningrad, you're supposed to have a pass with you that allows you to go to work if you need to.
Oh, like a special permit to go out.
A permit, exactly. Not like in Italy or France where we heard people like you fill out a form to go walk your dog, like Dario said, but you have to it has to be official.
Oh, you have to obtain that thing officially in the
Yeah.
place, and then oh wow, that's even more strict. I
Yeah,
would
the
say.
strictest one of all the ones we have talked to.
Kind of, yes. And so I'm very curious myself because Russia is such a big country. And we talk about like how people are not trusting of the government. But are all these efforts are they being done by the central? Can I say central government? Like let's say the main Russian government, or are they being done at the province or oblast level
Or cities. even.
city level? Do you know anything like this? How are they being coordinated?
Yeah, so there are some things that are done by the central government, like some main directives of what to do. But then they also gave most of the responsibility to regional governors. So each region is responsible for its own life. Like, what are you going to do? The all measures you choose. And the regional government also chooses the amount of funding they can afford to help with the businesses and the people, the school closures and the exam things. So it's really up to regional governors to make that decision.
And so Putin, President Putin, basically just lets the governor decides the course of action.
We have actually a funny comment in YouTube from Alexander Polozhevetsk. I don't know how to say this. As a person living in Kaliningrad, I have to say the city has really improved during the quarantine. No more traffic jams, no more crowds in the streets. Beautiful. I wish it could stay that way. Do you agree to the statement, Kristina?
Well, I do agree with Alexander, but see, we live in different cities. He lives in Kaliningrad itself. I live in Zelenogradsk. It's like the resort place, right?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, because maybe all the Kaliningrad people went to your resort town. So there's a different perception.
Yeah, now there's no more of those Kaliningraders walking around.
Oh, we are starting an online war between in Kaliningrad itself.
Well, I wouldn't want to do that.
Okay.
All right. So, by the way, if anyone else wants to ask questions on YouTube, feel free. Just ask us any questions, and we will try to relay them, and Kristina can try and answer. Okay. Yes. But we also have a lot of other stuff to talk about.
Yeah. So this is something that I find, as a Singaporean, it will be a bit hard to answer. But I mean, for you, I'm very interested to know as well, because we've read on the news that 2020 is kind of like a year for elections. A lot of countries, a lot of places have this elections or voting to do, and I read from the news that Russia is undergoing a vote. Right, but I'm not very sure what that vote is. Can you share with me or share with us what exactly is this thing about, and how the virus has affected this procedure?
Or does it affect it at all?
Yeah.
Sure. So it's quite a complex bundle of changes to constitution that they've been trying to get accepted by the population. And just the gist of it is there are a few parts of it. They're all mixed into one, so we will be voting for the whole thing and not the parts of it, which is infuriating. But so here's what you get. Like, the bundle is, there are some changes that would allow the president to stay in power for a bit longer, and I can maybe get another term or two. He's so good at this, why not do it again and again? And another part of changes is that the ministry would be able to appoint the members to the government that they deem perfect, appropriate for that. And then we also would be able to fire judges that done something to like dishonor themselves, which is a very vague saying of it, wording of it. And then we would be able to ignore some decisions of the European courts that right now they override the decisions of the Russian main court, but we want to overthrow that. And one change that I guess appeals to the public more is that now they want to set the minimal wage to match the minimal cost of living. So it's a good thing to have. But see, if you vote for that, you also vote for other things.
So it's like packaged, it's a bundle.
It's packaged, it's a trap. So do you want this? You want more
minimum
money?
wage,
Well,
then
you want the president.
politics and constitution.
And so you cannot vote like yes for one and no for the other. It's kind of like
It's
yes
like
to all
all of
or
it.
no to all.
That
all
is
in or
smart.
nothing in.
I mean, I don't want to praise Putin here overly, but that's smart.
Wow. Okay. But is this still ongoing, this vote?
Yeah, so what happened is it was supposed to be in the middle of it was supposed to be 2 days ago, I think. Like sometime in the middle of April. And for a long time, they didn't want to postpone it. And that is why some people were very suspicious about the government's reaction to the spread of the virus, because they thought that if you say that there is an infection happening and people have to stay at home, then you cannot have the vote. You cannot be approved to stay in power longer. So they're intentionally keeping it like okay-ish as long as possible. But they canceled it. Now it's postponed indefinitely. So.
All right, I see. Yeah, so it does have an impact then.
So, actually, I don't know what to say. Would it actually, because of the postponement, is it actually helping President Putin, or is it like not very good for him?
He has been pretty absent recently. Like he does a few video chats with, not chats, like blogs for the population, and then we have some videos from him talking to his ministers, but he doesn't really do anything. He doesn't introduce any drastic measures or very supportive measures. He's out of the picture, and maybe that's because if something fails, he doesn't want to be a part of it. So he can just, he can scold the regional governments who failed, and be like the good guy who is trying to help the people, but their governors are so incapable of doing it themselves. Or maybe, I don't know, he has been out, he's been self-isolating pretty well recently. And maybe this could help him, but it also, to me, honestly, I think like the government response now is quite adequate, but the head of the government itself has shown itself to be pretty weak. And I think that's the sentiment that many of us are having now, that the Putin and his administration might not be really fit to stay in power for much longer.
Oh, I see. I mean, I read from the news report that he's staying in his dacha, in a self-isolating
residential area. Yeah,
the presidential home, summer home or something like that.
I think we want to move away from politics, but there's one more question from Muskan. She's asking, she wants to know a little bit more about this European courts versus Russian courts. It's hard for her to grasp why a country would give more power to another court. Okay, so maybe to clarify, this constitutional change would allow the Russian courts to have more power. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
So in the past,
the Russian court would be able to override the decision of the It's a European Court of Human Rights. I don't know the proper name of it in English, but that's the translation.
That's the translation.
Yeah, right. So right now, the status quo is that the European Court has jurisdiction, and they want to change it, right?
That's right. Yeah, and they don't want it, to meddle in our decisions of our court.
So the question is, maybe I want to know more, like probably why. I mean, I'm curious myself. Why do the European Court have jurisdiction in Russia?
Do you know anything?
I don't know. They just do. I know that some cases, especially if they are connected to some big events in terms of like freedom of speech or human rights, all of that, then again, I'm not an expert, so just my understanding. Then the European Court can say that, well, Russia has wronged someone, so they need to compensate for it, or they have broken some kind of international law. And this has happened in the past with some of our opposition leaders who were detained, and the European Court of Human Rights said it was not legal or not entirely legal. And Russia said, no, it was, because according to our laws, it's okay. So there's like this.
Yeah.
Oh, this fight between each
Well,
other.
Maybe Hugo, who was commenting before, he's our little in-house law intern. Maybe he can give more insights on that. But from my understanding in international law, the way it usually works is there was a agreement signed at some point that people gave certain jurisdiction in certain areas for the benefits of being in a certain pact, like agreement pact, for maybe linked with other economic benefits or something. And, yeah.
So the vote is kind of like a Brexit, Russia exit. Okay.
Maybe not that extreme.
Yeah,
But okay, let's go from politics. There's another thing that is very important, interesting, and I'm not sure, maybe some of the listeners are not so aware of this, and this is Easter. Like people who grew up in the more Western traditions, right? Like in, let's say where I come from in Germany, or even in Hong Kong, a lot of Christians here, they see Easter from the Catholic or from the Protestant point of view. But in the Eastern Orthodox Church, Easter maybe has even a more important role. And it also relates to maybe what happens during Easter when the outbreak is happening right now, and what does it mean for people and gatherings and churches and behavior. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, so just the first, some background about
Okay,
the Easter happening in Russia. It's an annual thing, of course, and it's a big thing for those who believe, for the believers, for the Orthodox Christians here. And you're supposed to see your family, you're supposed to go to the church and like stand in a mass and just do all the things of like of attending a service at church. And maybe I can share my screen and like show some pictures of how it's supposed to look.
Sure.
Like.
Let's have a look.
Yeah, and so people bake this special type of cakes, Easter cakes, and the tradition is to bring those cakes to a church so that someone at church can bless them, and they will be okay to consume. But now the volunteers are doing that. Actually, it was a very nice, very kind gesture. A lot of volunteers said they could help that. They would like bring the cakes to church and then deliver them to those who cannot come, like especially to elderly people.
That's nice. And they're all wrapped in plastic and everyone's wearing a mask.
Yeah. So some people are really trying to do it well. And some church leaders have also warned their followers to not come to the church and just stay at home. Like, it's okay, it's fine. This year is going to be fine. But then also, in some churches, that really didn't happen. Like, they still had the service, and it looked like this. So, see, the areas are marked, so you're not supposed. Like, you're supposed to keep the social distance.
Oh, the social distance.
But you see, it's not really being observed.
And the interesting thing I can see on that photo is the one wearing the mask is the most isolated. And all the others that don't wear a mask are closer to each other.
Yeah. But yeah, people are wearing masks and they're supposed to use sanitizers. But as you see, not everyone was wearing that. And it's not like it's just in one church, but it's happened in a few churches across the whole country. Well, the Christian part of the country. And then there were some reports that the measures were really out of control in some of those services. With one that just appalled me and really shocked me, but there was this case, like a lot of people going in, like, gathering, no care for the restrictions, but then there also this thing where people were wearing the masks up until the point they reached a cross that they were supposed to kiss to receive the blessing and like for the holiday. And so what they were doing is they were coming to the cross, taking their mask off to kiss it and put the mask back on.
Ooh, that is a highway for viruses.
Yeah, it is. And it's
Oh
just,
my God.
it doesn't seem like the best idea to
So
do.
hundreds of people kissing the same cross.
Yeah, not very hygienic by itself, and especially worse when it's during a pandemic. So that's another controversial topic that popped up recently. And some people are understandably angry about this for the irresponsibility of some people. But I have to say, those are just like exceptions. For most of Russia, it was okay. People stayed at home, but there were some of those who believed that the church and the church bells and their vibrations would protect them from the harm that viruses and microbes.
Oh no.
Wow, I mean those are like religious, but I think what Kristina, what you say is actually very correct. That these are just exceptions, right? What you shared just now, there are also a lot of leaders who are also going out their way to warn people not to come and observe social distancing.
Yeah.
Right. But okay, very interested. You say like church bells ringing supposed to help deter coronavirus. So
No, not just deter, kill it. Like
kill it. Wow.
The
So
sound waves
sound wave
kill the virus.
Okay.
yeah. It's
Okay.
scientific, you know.
Okay. What other kind of remedies have you heard about regarding how to kill the coronavirus? Now, for our audience, just a warning. This is we're talking about these
Fake news.
Fake news.
So these are not real.
Yeah, these are not really real ones. But I'm very interested to know, like, in the Russian perspective, are there like any homemade remedies or what you heard?
Yeah, I feel like the market for homemade remedies is really booming right now because people are desperate and they're turning for any advice they can find. And I've been included in in a worrying amount of chain mails around like WhatsApp and our Russian network saying that if you want to stay healthy during coronavirus, you gotta eat lemon and ginger, like the regular stuff that's supposed to supposedly boost your immune system. And then you're supposed to like there's one thing that's been really weird for me. It's pine tree. I've watched a video of an expert telling people if you just tie a piece of a pine tree like to your body, it will ward off the virus. I love Till's expression right now. Yeah. So yeah, but that's why the prices just skyrocketed for garlic, for ginger, and for lemons. Like they tripled within these 3-4 weeks because people are buying it, hoping it could help. And my favorite one, I got it from parents of one of my students that says that baking soda is supposed to help. Like it's a thing here people use. Like if you have some mucus in your throat and it helps just to get it out of there. So it's a sensible thing to do. It's like a water solution. You use it to
soda.
Do it to make it easier to get rid out of from.
I use it to clean my pipes in the shower. Because it's very strong.
Right? No, but it's a very weak solution. Okay. It's just like something.
So like you drink and.
No, you don't drink it. You just use it to rinse your throat. Like you have some in your throat, and you spit it out. Yeah, but apparently now it's graduated to being like a virus-killing remedy.
Wow. Okay.
So
baking soda, pine,
ginger, lemon,
garlic.
So all these prices, garlic, and then toilet paper. You said people also panic bought, right?
Yeah, but the whole trinity is absolutely lemon, garlic, and ginger.
Trinity of homemade remedies.
And of price hikes.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, I think I can start exporting some ginger, lemon, garlic to you guys.
One of the things that around the world the prices hiked like crazy. In Hong Kong, starting in early January, was surgical masks.
Yes.
And our viewer Patrick's asking a question: are they actually expensive in Russia? Was it easy to get surgical masks?
Oh, it's a wonderful question. We actually, in my city, masks got sold out pretty early on in end of February, beginning of March, or like middle of March. And there's been not enough supply of them because this is it's a complicated situation. The government said that we cannot really put the prices too high for masks because it would be wrong, but then the people cannot really sell the mask cheaper. Yeah. So like there is a huge demand, but not enough supply for it. So they have gotten just a little bit more expensive, and then they just disappeared for a while.
So the government has placed an effort, like a price ceiling, how much you can charge.
Yeah, and it backfired again because people are like, well, if I cannot sell them, I cannot buy them that cheap, so I cannot sell them within this price range. Okay,
so for the international, the international price is skyrocketed, and there's a price difference.
Yeah. Okay, but we're also making masks in the country itself, so there's not like a huge deficit right now, but it depends on which report you look at. Most of them say we are okay, we still have enough for our medics, and then some of them, the regional reports, say that no, we're running out, like there's nothing.
So is it common right now for wait a minute, so you are also kind of on lockdown, so people wouldn't be wearing masks anyway? Common people will not be wearing masks.
When I go to the shop, like a supermarket to get some grocery, most of people wear masks there, most of them. It's a surprising thing for me to see because I would never expect Russians to wear masks. I mean, I got used to it in Hong Kong when like you have a fever or you're coughing, you just put a mask on and go. But in here, it was weird. I think it took people a while to get used to it.
I think that happens to a lot of other countries, in Singapore as well, my own country. All right. So One of our audience and asked a good question. I think it's also a good time to move beyond this this topic as well. I say is interested in visiting Kaliningrad. Wonderful history and architecture. The question is it known for being a tourist destination? And has the coronavirus affected the tourist industry? That's from Michael. Yeah.
Well, it's a good question because it's something I've actually looked at this morning to see was it ever a tourist destination? Apparently, the outlook was that it was going to become one of the main parts of Russia people visit, because they also introduced a special type of visa just for this region. If you go there, you can stay visa-free for 2 weeks or something, maybe even more now. If you come from certain countries, like 50 countries or so. Same like they did for like a visa-free window for St. Petersburg as well. So we're used to having lots of tourists here from the neighboring countries and from St. Petersburg and Russia and Moscow. And without them, I think it's going to be really hard for the hotel industry, because we have a lot, especially on the seafront. Of course, it's this whole where their income is coming from, and the restaurants as well. It's going to be quite a big problem. But when all this is over, please do come visit. It's getting better every year. And I know Teal has visited a long time ago.
Yes, I've been at a conference
favorite
11 years ago.
of it. Yeah, but it's really nice. They're really working on it. Like it's so beautiful, and it's just like decorated nicely. Just come. It's beautiful.
Wow. So I mean, you can see Kristina really advocates for it.
Yes.
And Peter commenting birthplace of Kant, and yes, I agree. I think it was called Königsberg then. Kristina mentioned before that it was German before World War II. It's called Königsberg, and it was like Prussian, a lot of Prussian culture, and yeah, this famous philosopher Immanuel Kant. He grew up there, and I think he never left that place.
We have a whole. Yeah, go on.
No, I'm done.
we have like a whole little island dedicated to Kant and like his place where he was buried. So you can visit if you want to pay your respects. Yeah, we have.
So,
we have our university. The main university in this region is named after him.
So if you're interested in history and
philosophy,
please do go there. So Michael Michael from Jamaica. Wow, it's a very rare guest, and I have so many questions about Jamaica. But okay, let's talk after this. But anyway, because today is about Russia, so. Michael, if you're interested in visiting Kaliningrad, feel free to even you can message us on our Instagram, Facebook, or Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube, right? And then we can actually link you up with Kristina if you would like to,
or if you want to share about.
We know each other. I know who it is.
Oh, okay, yes, okay, okay, all right. So now this is also something that's in the international scene happens a lot. We'll be looking at Russia. We talk about internet memes. There's a lot of memes going on about Putin on the bear and strong. And then there was
shirtless Putin. I think most of the world knows that.
And also not just Putin, but we recently saw one of our interns was asking this news where it was going online saying that the Putin actually released 800 tigers on the street to prevent people from going around like kind of a lockdown. Now, of course, it's fake news, but is there any of these other funny stories, funny memes coming from Russia itself about this, about Putin, about this whole situation?
Well, we definitely do not have that many tigers, I think, just to be spared. So no, that's totally fake news, like you said. We. It would be so weird, like if Russians try to perpetuate the stereotypes they have about, like other countries have about Russia, but I think we're using the same stereotype about bears in here. Like bears in Russia, whoa, it's such a normal, expected thing. Let me show you how. Like one thing I saw earlier this week. There's like a mole in Siberia that warns its visitors to keep distance at least 1.5 meters long, which is also happens to be a distance of one medium-sized bear.
Oh my god. So okay, everyone can see it on the screen right now. That is cute.
Yeah, I just love it. So cute, and they have it like in the brackets, like approximately one medium-sized bear. Thank you. Now I know. Now I understand.
Oh, I love this.
Wait, there's a word druga.
Yeah, it means like one from another. It doesn't mean friend in this context.
Oh, okay.
Like one from another.
So keep a distance of 1.5 meters, which happens to be the length of an entire bear.
Of a medium-sized bear.
medium-sized bear. Wow.
But it's a good idea, right? It attracts attention, it's fun, so you want to share it, and it kind of spreads the awareness.
Yes,
So
I think it's very creative as well. Creative use of a bear. But I think we can all say that if you see a bear, you should be more than like 100 meters away from there, or even more.
Just a useful tip. And there's been a few more memes going around. Like one story particularly was just picked up by the news quite quickly. It was that Putin visited the main hospital in Russia that is responsible for dealing with the coronavirus outbreak, like where we keep in Moscow the patients with the virus. And this is the head of the hospital here, and Putin is shaking hands with him. No mask, no gloves. So, you know, he's
and a
invincible.
handshake in a hospital.
In a hospital. Well, to be fair, up until this picture was taken, he was wearing like a special suit, kind of looks like a hazmat suit. Like he was well
And then just for the
protected,
picture. Into
yeah,
his
you
suit
want to
and-
look good on a picture, you know, like why not? So you want to dress up for it.
Yes.
And so this meeting happened. We all knew about it. Like, oh, what a responsible, caring president. He came to visit the main hospital. So good of him. And then a week later, this news came out that this head of the hospital had the virus.
Oh no.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I thought. Like, oh no, like never in my life had I been so concerned about the life of my president. Like up until then, I thought he was like invulnerable.
Nothing could happen to him. Right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like nothing could happen to him. People will be thinking like nothing will happen to Putin before this.
Yeah. Nothing would happen, and now maybe something might. And so this was kind of like picked up by the internet trolls and spread around the social networks, and like. Yeah. So basically this.
So a lot of like Photoshop pictures about this incident. Wow, I think that we can actually talk a lot about all these like memes and fun things. You know, we have to find something positive, I guess, out of all this whole situation. But you know, since we are the kind of like the final guest of our this series. For this season at least, is there? Can you share with us about how you personally, how has it affected you, and how do you deal with this whole lockdown? And what have you been doing during this time?
Okay, well, I had this advantage of having seen your other episodes before, so I kind of knew how people around the world were coping with it, and I got a lot of ideas from them, like exercising at home or staying active, keeping yourself busy, having a daily schedule. All of this helped tremendously. So that's one very practical use I got from your sessions. But apart from that, I can't say it has been easy for me. Like I'm naturally a stay-at-home person. I don't mind staying at home, but I don't like it when I have to stay at home, when I'm forced to do it. So it was hard. I'm not gonna lie, it was hard. Some like days were super hard to get through. But I also I'm living with my boyfriend, who is very supportive, and he's really into like analyzing data and statistics. So he always keeps me updated on what's going on in the world. And the situation.
That can be nice, but can also be like when you wake up. Good morning. Do you want to hear the new infections?
No, not like that. But yeah, of course, sometimes it was just overwhelming. Like, you know, when everything you hear about is corona, can we just stop for a moment, just like live our lives. But I found that what helps me stay kind of okay is being interested. It's like not staying positive. I cannot stay positive all the time. I get tired, I get bored, I get sad. But if you're interested in something, like whatever it is that you have been postponing, now is the time. And it sounds like such a obvious thing to do, like follow your passion, follow your interest, no, be productive. But that's the truth. That's what's helped me. So I'm back to like studying history, studying literature, and working on my English and things like that. I'm also trying to be more involved in the community that I have.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Yes, so don't just focus on positivity, focus on interest and curiosity.
Right.
Yeah, totally agree.
I think that's very true. I mean, I've seen some of my friends who freaked out after the whole extension of the quarantine and didn't know what to do. But I think we can all learn from Kristina as well, from our other past guests. Okay, so if you have not seen the videos, please go back to our other YouTube channels to take a look and learn some. Maybe you can seek some advice from them how to how do you stay? How do you use the time that you have right now? And being interested, yes, I think it's a very good advice, right? So if you have been pushing back some things that you've not been doing, now is the perfect time for you to pick it up and do. Right. And okay, so I think the last question, as I always leave it to Tew. Tew always asks this question.
Oh, it's the same question, yeah. But I think in Russia it has even more relevance because, you know, in ICE,
Yes.
we work with people from around the world. I think 87 different nationalities over the last years, and we made friends with all these people. We learned a lot, and we tried to make them share more with Hong Kongers or from other people around the world. And I would say there are 3 types of countries usually. There's the type of country where, oh yeah, like when you say the name, I kind of, yeah, I know the country, but then they don't know too much about it. That's like a very common thing, especially in Hong Kong. Then there's another one, it's like, what is that? You know, it's like a country so small and obscure that they just have zero, they might have not even known it existed, they didn't know if it's a country or a city or, you know, those also exist. And there are some where everyone is loaded with impressions, with stereotypes, with cliches, because from a young age they've heard about this country. So let's say any American in Hong Kong is probably tired. You say, I'm from America, and in Hong Kong it's, Trump. It's like, yeah, it's more than just Trump. You know, it's like because everyone knows about it. And I think Russia is one of those countries that there is no person in the world who has not heard of Russia. So I'm sure there are some things, even in your time in Hong Kong, where you felt like that is actually maybe a misunderstanding, or that is, it's more than that. Is there something you want to tell to Hong Kongers, but also to the rest of the world? If they hear Russia, is there something, a misunderstanding you want to clear? Is there something you want to correct, or just something you want to get off your chest for everyone to understand?
Of course, sure. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to do so. Just 3 little things. First one is Russia is really huge, and if you think about Russia as being this cold place, eternal winter, it's only true for part of it. Okay, it's a huge part of it, but most people are, okay? Most of the people, they live in cities that are habitable cities, so you can go there, it's fine. The weather is wonderful, it's huge, just go explore. Many places, there's a high chance that you'll find something you like. So the weather varies, it's not always winter. That's one thing, huge, and the climate is different. Second thing is, I know that every country has some stereotypes about itself, and I'm not asking for everyone to drop their stereotypes because it's impossible, but I would just like them to be updated a little bit. Like one thing, it's not the USSR anymore. I'm sorry, that's long gone. And of course, we still have this kind of different mentality of people just, you know, it's like, oh, we don't trust anyone. We're so militaristic and aggressive. But it's changing now. And when I look at younger generations that I work with, oh my God, they're so different. I feel like they're going to be so much more of a world citizen than just a Russian citizen that I think it's going to change soon. So stereotype might endure that Russians are so cold and, you know, aggressive, but it's already changing. So we might not be just cold, might also be fun and interesting. Some ideas we have to share with the world as well. So it's not just guns and like, oh, you know, Russia, vodka, bear, Russian, so angry, you know, with the whole world, we're not happy all the time.
Oh, that reminds me of how games portray
computer
Russians
games,
as,
old movies, right?
Yeah, just speaking with this Russian accent and then like pretending like a whole...
Yes,
And even as you said with cold, right? Like whenever there's a movie scene, whether it's James Bond or any action movie, if it's in Russia, it has to be in winter in Siberia, right? It's always winter.
Yeah.
They can't, like even Siberia itself can be quite hot in summer, right? Like it can be like 30 to 40 degrees Celsius. But most people just like, oh, cold, winter. Well, yeah, only in winter. Yeah.
So I think it's
that's how you understand that it's Russia.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think it's very important. Like first of all, it's not that cold, and more importantly, how people are changing.
Update your stereotypes. But there's also a third thing I would like to mention.
Yes.
It's about the hospitality. That's like one feature, like one trait what Russians have as a nation. There are not many things we have in common. Like Russia has so many nationalities within itself. It's hard to find something common. But hospitality, especially if you're a foreigner coming from another country and you say a word of Russian, you show some effort to understand, oh my God, they will feed you, they will take care of you, they will help you in most places. And of course, they'll be surprised, like, what are you doing in Russia? Why, of all places, are you here? But they would be really happy to help you. So when you come here, don't worry about it. They might not be able to speak English, but they speak the gestures and the face.
I
so you'll be
totally
able to
agree. Like I've traveled through all of Russia and Siberia many years ago, and even people who don't speak English in the middle of nowhere, they will help you. It's a bit of a cultural difference at first, but I didn't have a single experience where I feel like this person hates me or this person doesn't want to help me. Like no, it's great. And if you speak a little bit of Russian, like Jay, I've given up already. The language is too hard. But Jay is still on it. Like they will love you. So go.
Okay, so that's what I'm gonna do. Go to Russia and just say "Я чуть-чуть говорю по-русски," and then maybe I'll get fed.
Amazing.
Yeah.
We'll take care of you.
But I think this is also something that probably a lot of people misunderstand, right? We think of Russia, they think of people who do not smile and then angry and cold, even in person. But hopefully, for our audience, you heard from Kristina that actually Russians are very kind and warm-hearted, and as long as you take an effort to learn a little bit of Russian, I think it's just fair. If you're traveling to Russia to learn a little bit of the culture and the language, and I'm sure you have a nice time there, right? But I think with that we have to say a big thank you to Kristina for answering so many of our questions.
Spasiba,
Thank you for having
spasiba. I
us.
remember that one.
Oh, great job.
Spasiba. And for our audience as well, if you have any other questions, feel free to message us on Facebook. That's ICEHongKong, Instagram, YouTube, Intercultural Education.
All together without a space.
Yes, and if you have any ideas of what you would like, what we should be doing for the next season, feel free to let us know. We are always happy to improve on this. This is the first time we are attempting this YouTube live.
Exactly. So you can also give feedback in the comments. You can say what we should do better. And if you actually are watching this from some part of the world and you think like you have something to share, just let us know. Our mission is to connect people to understand the world in a respectful and friendly way. So there's so many countries in the world, so many nationalities. So please just let us know. Hashtag ICEHongKong, or you can find us on our website, ICEHongKong.com, or as Jay said, Instagram and Facebook. And maybe we can do something with you as well.
Oh, yes. So with that, we just say thank you. Thank you to Kristina and also Alexander, who say we have been awesome. Much love. Thank you. Spasiba as well. and see you for the next season.
Yes, season 2, Crosstalks. Stay tuned. Subscribe, okay? Goodbye, Kristina.
Bye bye.
Take care.
Пока.
Пока-пока. До свидания.